All right, everyone, welcome back. We're looking at Mateon Therapeutics, as you can see on the screen, ticker MATN. Mateon Therapeutics does have a therapy by the name of Artemisinin that they are developing and testing for the Rona. More technically, this drug is an antiviral. It's a TGF-beta inhibitor. So TGF-beta is something that's important. There's a lot of technical information on this, but it has to do with the spike protein that we hear about a lot, and it's an important aspect to see a lot of growth for a large number of cells. It's called the transforming growth factor beta, and so by inhibiting this, what they hope to do is be able to slow or reduce the growth of the virus. There was a gentleman who came on, I'll leave the link, but he basically was a spokesperson for the company. He did an interview, and he basically said that it has a lot of general abilities to boost the immune response for all kinds of things. Now, one thing you should know is that generally this was developed and has been used in the past for malaria treatments. And so we're going to look at some of the pros and the cons. So you can see here on the left some of the pros, that there were positive early signs in 25 cases. But in those cases, there were no adverse reactions that we're seeing. The company is actually in partnership with Abiogenesis, a clinical research organization in India. So Mateon Therapeutics is based out of San Francisco in the US. But with all the people that live in India, it is really good to see them partnering globally. Another thing that came out recently was that there's a recent manufacturing partnership, a memorandum of understanding that was signed with a biotech manufacturing firm called Windlass Biotech, and you can see that here. They're a private firm. They have a 20-year history. We'll look at a little bit more information about them, but it's nice to see some of these pieces coming together because Mateon Therapeutics has a very small market cap, and it looks like it would really struggle in order to be able to launch something large on its own. So that would be one of the cons that's not listed, but some of the other ones is that this is widely available, which might mean that it would have limited pricing power for the firm. So since there's been a lot of research done, and this is actually an extract that's been taken from the sweet wormwood plant, it does have some herbal properties that have been used for a long time, like for centuries. They're simply trying to apply it to the current situation that we're facing. Like I said, there is limited ability to pay for drug trials, and they were actually asking for nonprofit organizations or non-governmental organizations to volunteer if they had people needing therapies, to volunteer as long as those organizations had the capacity to kind of run trials. It's not exactly the best thing that you want to see happening, but one of the reasons I picked it is because it hasn't had a large run-up. So many people, they've seen those huge increases, 1,400% or whatever stock increase, basically based on speculation. This hasn't occurred with this company yet, and so if it does, that would be something where you'd be able to get in early on. We'll take a look at their one-year stock chart here in a second. But the book value per share is 18 cents per share, and the price per share is currently trading about 17 cents per share. So that's not a great discount, but you're not paying a huge premium either. Moving on, this game, you can find this online. It says the company is inviting nonprofits such as non-governmental organizations to participate in this trial if they have the logistics to participate in observational trials and to distribute the Artemisinin in their home countries. The trial is expected to accrue a minimum of 3,000 patients. At present, the company is engaged in India, Africa, and Latin America. The study is designed to evaluate the safety, tolerability, and effectiveness of Artemisinin when used in combination with standard of care in mild to moderate patients. Artemisinin is an antiviral agent with demonstrated activity against the COVID-2 in vitro as compared to remdesivir. However, it has a higher safety index. By targeting the host protein, TGF-B, Artemisinin avoids resistance mutations which could render vaccine and or therapeutics against viral proteins ineffective. So because it targets this host protein, the TGF-beta that we were talking about before, that this drug actually inhibits that protein. And so they said that could really be beneficial for the reasons they just mentioned. Now here's the one-year chart, and like I said, you haven't seen a large run-up in the price. It's basically remained stable. It didn't fall significantly in March when many stocks sold off. But also it's a fairly small market cap, about 15 million, so very, very small market cap. Recently they put out a K8 form, which is basically a form that notifies investors of any significant changes or events that the company basically went through. So we can see this on August 19th, 2020, Mateon Therapeutics Incorporated executed an MOU, Memorandum of Understanding, with Windlass Biotech Private Limited for the development and commercialization of Artemisinin as therapeutic, pharmaceutical, and herbal supplement against the Rona. Windlass Biotech Private Limited is a 20-year-old company with a strong track record of research, development, manufacturing, and distribution of pharmaceutical products in India, USA, and several emerging markets. So I like that that partnership came out, at least the memorandum of understanding. If you go on and you read the full K8, you'll see that there are some certain performance measures that need to happen. Of course, they want to run these trials. They have already started in animal trials, and they're looking to do human trials, as you can see by the form that we just looked at, the request that they looked at, looking to get 3,000 patients in. So they have 25 done. There are some positive results, but nothing that I found about submitting anything with the FDA. So we'll see which countries that they're going to try to push forward. One thing I thought that was interesting as a closing remark is that we hear a lot from the FDA or certain approvals that are occurring in Europe. But we've got to realize that maybe a lot of patients aren't going to be able to pay top dollar for some of these top drugs, and that maybe not everybody is going to agree right off the bat as far as what's effective and what's not. Even if this doesn't work out as a Rona treatment, it should still be useful for malaria, which is an endemic disease in many parts of the world. It's chronic, and so possibly there's revenues to be made in that sector if they can prove that it's effective and better than what's already available. Okay. Quickly, let's jump over and look at their financial statements. This is a quarterly statement, so going back to Q2 2019. See total revenues up. I mean, these are in the millions, and so they're only going to have one or two. But still, better up than down. Spending on R&D, that's good. You want to spend on R&D if you're going to figure this stuff out. Total operating expense, total operating income, negative. Income before taxes. So they made a little bit of money on some interest or some investments that they made, non-operating, which pushed them in the black for the last quarter. So, interesting to see. Look at the balance sheet real quick and then the statement of cash flows. So it's good to see an increase in cash, especially heading into this volatile environment. Prepaid expenses are up. That's good. Total current assets. Retained earning is dropping. Okay. Cash from operations was slightly above zero. Cash from investing, nothing. Cash from financing, less than $1 million. Okay, so like I said, they're going to need some help. They're going to need some partnerships. But like I said, I don't know that they're going to be able to secure extra funding, so that's something to look at. Okay, well, thanks so much. Again, Mateon Therapeutics. You can check them out, MATN.